Hello.
I'm your host, Roommate, and welcome back to the 50 Shades of Horror.
We're on the fourth shade, and if you remember from the intro, this is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's 1975's The Rocky Horror Picture Show. I'm so excited to tell you what I love about this magnificent work of art. If you've never seen this movie, you need to watch it. It's available in HD on Amazon Prime and Hulu, so it's part of that Disney Plus bundle they offer. Even if you don't have those services, like most movies on this list, it is available on multiple streaming platforms, including YouTube, for rent at about $4. You won't regret it. Just go for it, then come back to this video. Now, this movie is not very scary, just a little scarier than Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. It is, however, far hornier than that movie.
If that surprises you, well, buckle up. You're in for a bumpy ride.
But as far as the scariness goes,
How could this movie not be horror? It has horror in its name.
the atmosphere is foreboding and spooky.
We spend most of the movie in a strange castle on a dark and stormy night.
The protagonists are always saying how scared they are. Almost every character, besides the heroes, are certifiably insane. And a very dangerous mad scientist with no regard for human life stands out above the rest.
But enough talk!
Let's get into the movie's beginning. The Rocky Horror Picture Show starts off with a disembodied mouth singing to us in the darkness as the credits roll. Its lips are covered in a bright red lipstick, creating a stark contrast with the pure black surrounding. The credit font is similarly red, but the drippiness of the letters evokes blood. The song we are treated to has countless references to science fiction films, many creature features, which were among the earliest entries into the horror genre. But even if the references in science fiction double feature go over your head, which they do for me, they serve another purpose. With the language evoking a sense of supernatural danger and sexuality, it sets the tone for the rest of the film. We hear about silver underwear, a deadly pace, really getting hot, spitting poison, and saying to your bride, I'm going to give you some terrible thrills. All while taking in the show from the most hidden place, the back row.
Y'all are getting me hot.
The lyrics let us know that we're not taking ourselves too seriously, with a line about prunes and runes that is decidedly scatological. But even so, there's a wistful nostalgia to the piece that gives evidence to how much of a lasting impact these cheesy, and sometimes smutty, films have on us. After the brilliant opening, we descend upon a wedding that has just finished. A happy family poses for a picture as the presumed caretakers of the quaint church loom in the background, looking quite like American Gothic. The groom tells half of our couple of protagonists, Brad Majors, that it could be his turn next as the bride throws her bouquet to the other half, Janet Weiss. As the car rolls up to take the newlyweds to their bridal suite, we see the movie's sense of humor painted on its side. It shows an antiquated idea of gender norms, where ladies want love in a sentimental and respectable way, while men want something a bit more carnal, and the idea seems taken for granted by everyone present. Janet tells Brad how much she loved the wedding, and how glorious the bride's transformation from a single to a married woman was to her. Brad takes the hint and proposes to her through a song titled Damn It, Janet. She eagerly accepts. They plan on meeting a former professor of theirs, Dr. Everett Scott, to share the good news with him. Then, in their naive love, they share a kiss in the church. Then we meet the film's narrator, the criminologist. And unlike many narrators, he is neither a character in the plot, nor is he disembodied.
He is dressed very smartly and conservatively, and his precise diction reinforces his air of refinement.
We see him in what looks like a study, with a projector, a globe, a microscope, and countless books, presumably on legal cases. He pulls one off of the shelf and flips through the pages, revealing black and white stills of the images we've seen so far, and police reports on Brad, Janet, and Dr. Scott. He sets the scene with
dark storm clouds, heavy, black, and pendulous.
Telling us of Brad and Janet's attempt to see their former professor, ending with saying that this could be
the night out they were going to remember for a very long time.
This narrator is amazing. This framing device makes what is going to be a very surreal experience seem more coherent.
His grave demeanor and authoritative majesty serve as a counterpoint to the intense debauchery we will soon see.
His inclusion is nothing short of brilliant. As Brad and Janet are driving, half listening to Nixon's resignation speech of all things, they notice many motorcyclists speeding through the dark woods on the stormy night. After a surprising dead-end sign, Brad backs up into something that pops his tire. Brad wants to check
the castle back down the road a few miles
on his own, but Janet resists his patronizing chivalry since
the owner of that phone might be a beautiful woman and you might never come back again.
Jealousy. How funny.
After they pass through a foreboding sign on a creepy gate, we have another song over at the Frankenstein place. I like how Janet describes the night as velvet darkness, since it amps up the sensuality of their situation. But they're searching for the light in the castle. The castle they're approaching looks classic and gothic, but there is a strange modern addition on the top of a glass geometric structure. We see Riff-Raff, a sullen and eerie man, mirroring their song from the window. It seems that for him, the darkness is the castle, and this couple are the light. Interesting. As Brad and Janet approach the door, Janet gets cold feet and wants to run away. Brad convinces her to wait, hoping to make a quick phone call for help. Riff-Raff opens the door and says,
Hello.
As Brad holds Janet in a manner simultaneously protective and possessive, he leaves Brad hanging and ignores his request for a phone. Instead, he focuses on a more pressing issue.
You're awake.
Yes, it's raining.
I have no idea how a human being could not be in love with this interaction.
After the lightning strikes again, Riff-Raff tells them,
Perhaps you better both come inside.
And look at that cheeky smirk. You know his double entendres are intentional, even if Brad and Janet aren't picking up on it yet. As they enter, some rock music can be heard from deeper in the building. Janet reiterates how scared she is, which isn't helped when Riff-Raff slams the door shut. He beckons them to follow him. And Janet wants to know if all the noise and motorcycles mean there's a party going on. Riff-Raff only half answers her.
You've arrived on a rather special night. It's one of the master's affairs.
Oh, lucky him.
You're lucky. He's lucky. I'm lucky. We're all lucky.
Okay, that was inspired! By splitting our focus between Riff-Raff's leading and Janet's questioning, it's easy to miss Magenta blending into the staircase. So when she bursts out, the audience is just as shocked as Brad and Janet are. It's so hard to hide something in plain sight. But this is how you do it. Magenta's appearance as the wild and unhinged maid marks the beginning of the best song in the movie, The Time Warp.
This is a certified hood classic.
As the song proceeds, we see how creepy this place is, with skeletons, cobwebs, and taxidermied beasts. Then we see an eclectic bunch of partygoers dancing in the main hall. I love how garish and wild their outfits are. There's no theme color-wise, but they all look like they're combining formal attire with kitschy party hats and goofy sunglasses. We can also also see that the hors d'oeuvres being served are similarly eclectic, with flags indicating their countries of origin from around the globe. The walls are painted sky blue. There are palm trees with Christmas lights, multiple Mona Lisas, gargoyle griffins with top hats.
This place is a Technicolor fever dream, and I love it.
But the song, what's it about? It's about losing your self-control. Remember the classic phrase, time flies when you're having fun? When you join a joyous throng, you lose your own inhibitions and experience time dilation. The rhythm of the night stretches the best moments to be properly savored, while inconsequential ones blink away in an instant. This is not only true about the ecstatic dancing we see, but also in enjoying works of art, like the film itself, which is hinted at in Magenta's lines about being freed by fantasy as a secluded voyeur, drinking it all in. We are introduced to Columbia in this song, whose tackily glamorous gold-sequined overcoat and top hat with dark rainbow-colored bustier makes us stand out in front of all the other party-goers. She starts singing from atop a jukebox about a bad boy she fell in love with. She sings that after the moment they locked eyes, that time lost all meaning to her, tying back to the song's theme of passion breaking the shackles of time. And of course, love's culmination is heavily implied through the song's chorus and dance routine, where the back and forth movement and pelvic thrusting are the most powerful ways to lose yourself and your sense of time in favor of passionate union. Even the criminologist, usually judgmentally detached from the proceedings, feels himself overcome by the infectious reverie. The only ones who seem reluctant are Brad and Janet, who quietly try to back out of the room during the song. Brad and Janet's relationship starts to strain as Janet wants to cut their losses and leave ASAP, while Brad insists that they try to get a phone call to help with their car. During Brad's advocacy for his tactics, he fails to notice Janet's increasing horror as their host descends upon them. Dr. Frankenfurter introduces himself through the song Sweet Transvestite. He is initially dressed in a vampire-esque cloak, but strips it to reveal a dark and sparkly ensemble of elbow-length fingerless gloves, a laced-up vest, garter belt with stockings, and a tight, oversized pearl necklace.
Yeah, Columbia has definitely been upstaged.
While Brad continues his quest for a phone, Frank struts about the party, all confident and cool. His lack of shame extends, not just to the characters in the movie, but also to us, as he breaks the fourth wall, tossing a drink at us, and figuratively winks at us. It's interesting to note that while Brad does mention their car trouble, he never says anything about the flat tire. So when he gives that detail, he reveals to the audience that Brad and Janet's situation was his doing. He goes on to explain the reason for this celebration is that he has been creating a man, which he implies is not purely scientific in purpose.
He's good for a living man. Tension.
Frank promises to remove their reason for being in the castle, that he'll have their car fixed, but insists that their interest in his creation will make them want to stay anyway. After Brad and Janet have their wet clothes removed and replaced with, well, nothing, Riff Raff, Magenta, and Columbia take the couple
Up to Frank's laboratory.
Janet tries to make small talk in the world's most awkward elevator ride, asking Columbia if Frankenfurter is her husband, which she laughs off. Riff Raff offers the answer.
The master is not yet married, nor do I think he ever will be. We are simply his servants.
Well, I think that the theme of matrimony being a form of possession has been hinted at so far, like with the painting on the car, for instance. This line makes it pretty explicit. Servitude is, in Riff Raff's eyes, a diminutive form of marriage, which means that marriage would be a superior form of servitude.
Continued in part 2.